Hello everyone and welcome to another What I Think review, and today we are going to be looking at a new character online exclusive. We finally have her, the Fugitive Doctor and TARDIS set. But just before we get on to actually looking at this, I would actually like to address something that I normally wouldn't address in these videos. Because the first thing I would like to do is actually talk about the box that this has been shipped in. Now, this isn't normally something that I would address, and that's a good thing, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that this is a very rare occurrence, but I feel it would be remiss of me not to bring this up as a consumer and paying customer of the products. Obviously, I've bought two, one to keep boxed and one to open, and this is very much the one I'm going to open, partly for this reason. But it is still, again, something that I feel like I should highlight. So this is the box that it was packed in, and unfortunately, I don't know how well this comes up on camera, you can see that here on this corner it has been slightly squashed in transit. It also has happened slightly on this corner as well. In fact, you can see it more on that corner where it's been knocked, and I am afraid to say that that has translated into the product itself, because these are packaged in boxes that are only so slightly bigger than the product itself. Only enough, if I bring the box side of the box in, you can see it's only just enough for the actual box to go inside the other box. And as you can see, unfortunately, it's left creasing a little bit on this corner, but very much so, sadly, on this corner, which you can see. Again, I am going to open this, so I'm not hugely fussed about the fact that the box has got a little bit dented, but for a online exclusive that is I know it's a toy, but it is also a collector's figure, let's not, kid ourselves on that. For it to arrive in this condition is a little bit disappointing. And again, I appreciate the costs of packaging and things like that. But at the end of the day, as I said, paid consumer, I have had to, to buy these. But at the same time, I feel like it is something that I should point out. And it does seem that, character have listened to people's concerns over other things in this set, which I'll go into in a minute. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because it is a little bit of a disappointment to see that the box has been damaged, especially, as something of a collector's figure for which many people will be collecting them. So in the interests of providing a solution to that, all I would say is character, it would be nice if they perhaps made the boxes just a little bit bigger. I mean, really, it's only got to be maybe that much bigger either way, maybe a centimetre, if that. And just put a little bit of padding in there, something like some tissue paper, something that can be recycled, or a nice recyclable material that is used, can be green. Obviously these are in cardboard, so that's fine. Get a bit of tissue paper or something that can be recycled, and it's all kept nice and green. But just something just to add a little bit of padding to it, so it is kept well in the box. But I'm just going to adjust the camera now slightly, because unfortunately I can't get this on camera completely with the box. But now we're going to get on to looking at the figure, but we're going to take a look over the box first of all, because there are some quite significant changes to the box, which I'm very happy to see. Firstly, overall, the box itself has taken on a slightly different shape. I believe it's not that much bigger, maybe only slightly larger than the other standard boxes. In fact, hang on one second, because I do have here actually a box of the First Doctor electronic TARDIS. No, it does actually appear to be the same size, I would have said, actually, both in height and width and depth. So box-wise, it hasn't actually changed size, but it has changed shape slightly, because you have, on this top corner here, you have this slightly slanted corner where obviously you've got the 60th anniversary logo, which is on there. But it all looks very good, nicely presented in the box. Obviously, we come around to the corner, you can see on the side there, we've got featuring Fugitive Doctor with blaster accessory, TARDIS with opening doors, information there. Lovely bit of information on the back about the Fugitive Doctor. Absolutely love to see that information there, always great to see that. And obviously if we bring it around this side, you can see as well that obviously you can see a bit more of the TARDIS. But the biggest improvement to these boxes, and I'm very, very glad to see that it is back, is plastic. We have plastic actual windows in it. which is wonderful to see, because as much as I understand why there were reductions in plastic, you know, for recycling and green reasons and things like that, to have them come back in these boxes, I think just does make them that little bit better. And again, you know, if it means that the retail prices are a little bit higher for that reason, I don't think that's a, you know, I don't think that's an issue. We're going to come back to price later on in the review, but yeah, you know, it's the little things like that really do just make it look that little bit better. I know it's going to please a lot of people to see it, you know, back with the plastic and things like that. So it is really, really good to see that. But now we're going to get on to looking at what we've actually got inside the box. And very much speaking of inside the box, we have in here, of course, an additional backdrop piece for the TARDIS. Now I believe that this is already perforated, so I should, well, there we go, be able to just push this out. I have seen some people turning round and saying that it would have been nice if this was sort of a separate sort of paper piece rather than the back of the box, because, hang on, and I think I can see why, and I thought this might happen. So where I've just tried to pull it out here, I don't know how well this is coming up on camera, but the perforations means it's ripped and torn a little bit of the backdrop there, and actually on the back here, where I'm trying to do it, it's kind of, the cardboard is separating out, and I'm really trying to get this off carefully. As you can see, the cardboard is separating slightly there, to get this off without tearing the backdrop, which unfortunately I have torn it a little bit there. So again, I really don't want to, I like to be honest in these reviews. I like the idea of having that there with the little bit of backdrop that we can put into the TARDIS, and I'm going to put it into the TARDIS, but making it part of the backdrop of the box does mean that you might come across this issue. I really did try to be careful there. You know, I do like to try and you know, I'm not trying to say, oh, you know, why have they done that, they could have done this. I really don't want to make it like that. I really want to review this as I review it and as I see it. And I love the idea of this backdrop, but having looked at that and seen what some of the other people have said, I do agree it perhaps might have been better if it had just been a bit of you know, folded card, just plain simple card that you could have folded rather than making it part of the box with the perforations. I can understand why, you know, again, print saving reasons and things like that, it makes sense, but obviously because this is corrugated cardboard, the perforations do mean that you will get sort of this little bit of tearing, and unfortunately, as I said, it's happened to me here on this little bottom of the bit of the box. But you know, again, I like to review the positives and negatives, so that's as that is. You know, it's if you know, really take your time and care and attention, you know, try and do it with a craft blade and just get around there, you could probably make it really really look you know, really get it out really well intact. But just trying to get it out of the box as intended, that is the result of what's happened. But you know, that's part of the review. That is part of the review. I'm certainly not trying to be negative about it, because we could have had no backdrop at all. It would have been very easy to give us that, you know, or give us nothing, as it were. So to have that little extra backdrop in there is definitely a nice addition either way. So I'm going to review the TARDIS first, just purely because I want to put the backdrop in there and do all of that, which I have done. I'll open the doors in a minute and show you. Obviously, standard classic box, but absolutely lovely design. I believe we have an entirely new roof and lamp piece. The lamp is definitely new, but I believe this is a new roof piece as well, because it looks like it doesn't have any lips and things like that. Certainly doesn't look like anything that we've had on any previous classic ones. And also it's got a lot more of a sort of a lot more defined wood grain texture on the top, so I believe that is an entirely new piece. Other than that, everything else around it all sort of seems to be the same, you know, or things that we've seen used before. You know, the newer, slimmer base, standard box. Windows are from the sort of first Doctor TARDIS, but painted blue because they've got that little bit of extra lip. Obviously going around it, it's pretty much all the same. It's got a good weathering on it, really nice sort of slightly darker weathering. Obviously we've got the we've got the speaker grill and the panel on the back. Again, I know I've seen some people say, you know, well, if it hasn't got electronics, they shouldn't have that there. But you know, again, as much as it would be nice to see, you know, the have a new piece, I can understand why they didn't, because you'd have to create an entirely new back piece for that very reason. But you know, in terms of it not having electronics, you know, I understand the reasons why. I'm gonna come back to this later in the review, but you know, there are reasons of budget and things like that, and there's, you know, there are reasons for it. So again, I can understand it from both sides. I can understand why the electronics aren't in there, but I can also appreciate that, you know, a lot of fans, if they're not going to be electronic boxes, it would be, you know, it would be nice for them to see a back panel piece specifically made for non-electronic versions. You know, so you know, I'm going to put that on either way, but you know, I don't think it detracts from it by having those bits there, because let's be honest, most people are going to display them from the front, you know, and it's not something that you're really ever going to see or notice. So I don't think it's that big of an issue. Obviously, if we open the doors inside, you can see I have the interior backdrop card in there, which looks absolutely fantastic. Really does look the part. It's wonderful to see this interior backdrop in there, because obviously it's something which many fans have wanted over the years, to have these interior backdrops. And you know, I'm not going to deny that it's a bit of a shame we haven't had it up until now, but really focusing on the positives here, we've got it now, and it shows that it can be done for future releases. So let's, you know, let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that we do get something like that in future. Again, I had seen somebody say, well, if they did it for this one, why didn't they do it for like the Ultimate Adventure TARDIS that we had recently? It's probably because the Ultimate Adventure TARDIS, he didn't have a defined console. It was on stage, so you couldn't really have done a lot with that. So I can understand why that wouldn't have necessarily been there. But you know, going forward, let's hope we do get some more of these sort of interior backdrops and things like that, because it really does look fantastic to see that in there. You know, it's such a simple thing, but it really does look the part, whether you've got both doors open or even, you know, just the one door open. It really just looks absolutely fantastic to see that in there. And you know, I really don't have anything that really sort of jumps out at me as any issues with the box, you know, in terms of how it looks. It looks absolutely fantastic. Again, you know, yes, it would have been nice to have seen electronics, but you know, in terms of having a Doctor with a TARDIS, it looks good. And this is, you know, there's, I don't know what it is, but there's something about this particular box. Maybe it's the newer roof and the different lamp, but it really does look more different to any sort of classic boxes we've had before. You know, and I think it really does look the part. It has a sort of, I think what it is now, the more I'm looking at it, I think it looks more like, with the cream sign and the black, the cream door sign and the black top signs, and the sort of colour scheme of slightly sort of dark bluish green and with a darker wash. It looks like, or what it makes me think of, is the 9th and 10th Doctor's box modelled onto a classic TARDIS, and I'm all for it. I love it. It really makes it stand out and look unique. But obviously, it's not just the box we've got. Of course, we also have the Fugitive Doctor. So let's take a look at her. So here we have the Fugitive Doctor with her Division rifle accessory. The rifle is, just saying this right as it goes around the back, the rifle is absolutely wonderful. It's a fantastic accessory to see, a great little additional piece. You know, a really nice, simple accessory, but one that really sort of suits the character and looks well for the character. But the figure overall is absolutely phenomenal. I am just blown away by how good they've made this look. You know, it's one of those ones that people have wanted this figure for so long, and to finally actually have it, and to have it done this well, it really is absolutely worth the wait. And I could go on forever and a day about how much I adore this figure and think about how good it looks, but if I have to sort of really sum it up, the best testament to how amazing it is to have this figure, if you haven't seen it yet, please go and watch the actual character options video about this figure, where Jo Martin herself gets to look at it. You know, the person who is this figure gets to look at it and gets to, you know, give her thoughts on it, and it's so wonderful to see her so happy and ecstatic about, you know, how good this figure is. You know, it really is just brilliant, and I think, you know, as I said, I could go on for ages about how good this is, but, you know, I'm not going to be saying anything that she herself hasn't already said. in terms of the general goodness of it. But you know, in terms of my own sort of thoughts, again, I think it looks really good. It's great to see the character realised. It's a really wonderful likeness of her. They've really sort of got that down well. And I like that it's really reused minimal parts, because I know for a sort of a long time it had been said that, you know, they didn't want to do it unless they could make it using entirely new pieces. And I think the only bits of this which are have been reused, I believe, are, I think, the arms, the upper arms. I don't think the shoulders, because I believe they're on a ball joint, but literally the upper bit of the arms on the elbows are from a Donna figure, and I believe portions of the legs are from a 12th Doctor. But other than that, it's entirely new pieces, and it really does look fantastic. They've really managed to capture the Fugitive Doctor in this. And again, you know, having the little accessory in there is absolutely wonderful and fantastic. There are rumours, and I should stress they are just rumours right now, that we will be getting a variant in a B&M set of the Fugitive Doctor, which would feature her wearing her glasses. And the other thing, again, and this is just my speculation, if we do get the one wearing the glasses, I would assume it's probably going to be a new head sculpt, because there isn't any sort of fixings on this head as to where the where her glasses would go. But I'm also hoping that it actually means we'll also get another different head variant, because obviously this one, she's got her long hair, but the hair is actually a separate piece, so it would enable them to do sort of the version where she's got it in a bun as well. So I'm hoping that we might get a variant from the I think, I want to say, the Timeless Children. Is it the Timeless Children or Power of the Doctor? No, I think it is the Timeless Children, where she has her hair up in a bun and with glasses, and I'm hoping that would be in a B&M set. I don't know who she'd come with. It would certainly be great to see her come with, say, you know, maybe Dan or so, or Carvanista even. It would be really good to see them, but, you know, I just think seeing, you know, this figure alone is great. Knowing that we could get some variants of her is just absolutely phenomenal, and I really do think that they've really knocked it out of the park with this one. You know, this is a figure, as I said, a lot of people have been waiting a long time to have it, and personally, I don't think they've disappointed with what they've produced in this figure. Now that's where I want to sort of end my thoughts on this review, but talking about some of the other things in regards to, like I said, I personally don't think that they have disappointed with this figure, but in regards to this figure, I would just like to try and positively address a couple of other things that have come up with this before I finish this review. So on a final note, I would just like to address a couple of the things about this figure, or more to the point, the reactions to this figure, because we've wanted this figure for a long time. We finally have it, and they have done it justice. And for a very long time, characters said, we are going to do this figure, but we want to wait until we can do it justice. And they have. They really have. But the problem was, a lot of people weren't hearing that. A lot of people were hearing, oh, they haven't done that figure yet, they're never going to do it. Now, they have done it, because here it is. But no matter how many times that they said we are doing it, people didn't hear that. And I think it's a bit of a shame, because what that has now led to, in part, is some of the reactions, and the majority was very positive. I wish to stress that. The majority of the people looking at this figure was very, very positive. But there were people out there who just really couldn't not find a negative with this. Whether it was, you know, we got the information about the figure, you know, the press release, pictures, and there were people immediately saying, why doesn't it have electronics? Or why is it that much? Or they would turn around and say, oh, it's great to finally have this, but why doesn't it have electronics? Oh, it's great to finally have it, but why is it that much? Now, in terms of the price, and in terms of both of them actually, price and electronics, something else that people just, no matter how many times it gets said, they don't hear it, is these things cost money. production costs money, and production is subject to inflation. Now, a lot of people are comparing this set to the Abominable Snowman set, which featured a TARDIS with new parts, a variant of the Doctor, and it had electronics in the TARDIS. Now, the TARDIS itself, in both of these sets, so in both of the sets, in the Abominable Snowman set, we had a TARDIS with new doors. In this set, we've got a TARDIS with a new roof and a lamp. In that TARDIS, they had electronics. In this TARDIS, they don't have electronics. In the Abominable Snowman set, they had the Second Doctor in his fur coat, for which we know the tooling already existed. For this set, we have the Fugitive Doctor, for which they have had to make new tooling. And this is just my speculation, but I would hazard a guess that the price of the tooling to make this figure is what they have had to sacrifice the electronics for. In the Abominable Snowman set, because the tooling already existed, they could afford to put electronics in the set. Yes, it would have been wonderful if this set had electronics. A lot of people think that, I think that. But I also appreciate the reasons why they couldn't have done it. But no matter how much time you spend trying to explain to people that the Abominable Snowman set that was 2-3 years ago, cost $39.99, does not mean that producing this set today for $39.99, it costs the same to produce. It doesn't, because production costs have changed due to inflation. And I could waffle on for a long time trying to explain that, but the problem is, again, not a lot of people are getting that, and then not a lot of people are understanding it. And I'm sure there are going to be people watching this who are going to be immediately thinking, yeah, but insert point about inflation and costs here. But I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. As much as you might like it to work, as much as we would all like it to work that way, I would like it to work that way, because then we could have got electronics in this box. But it's not how it works. Production costs money. Production costs are subject to inflation. Inflation is currently going up. We know that. It's in the news. There are interest rates are going up. Inflation in general is going up. The evidence is there, and I don't really understand why people can't get their heads around that. And I think, again, I could go on for a long time about this, because there were other things. So, for example, we don't have the Spy Master. At the time of recording, we still don't have a Spy Master figure. And a lot of people are saying that, we're never going to get that. But they were also saying we were never going to get a Fugitive Doctor figure. And here we have her. And again, with the Spy Master, the character have said we will do that when we feel like we can do it justice. So it's no different to here. So people who are saying, well, why don't we still have a Spy Master figure? We will in future. And the proof of that is this figure here right in front of you. You might not get it right now. It might be another couple of years before we get it. But we've got it. And here it is. And we will get the other one soon. And kind of just to prove how vindictive people are getting over this, and to prove how wrong they are, because we hadn't had the Spy Master or the Fugitive Doctor, or at the time, the 15th Doctor, some people were saying, oh, we don't have these three characters. I wonder what these actors have in common. I wonder what these characters have in common. And if you don't get where I'm going with this, I'm going to say it bluntly, they were implying that Character Options were not making these figures due to the race of the actors. That is absolutely disgusting, and a lot of people have been bringing that up. Now we've gotten this Fugitive Doctor saying those people deserve to give character an apology, and I agree. But I've seen a lot of people turning around and keeping very quiet on that front, and I feel like I need to say in this review, I think it's absolutely horrible that you've decided to put accusations of racism towards a company and individuals at that company because you don't have the toys you want yet. It's vile. I'm sorry, it is vile, and I can't try and make a positive anywhere about that. I think it's horrible and disgusting, and I think people need to admit that they were wrong there. But in the interest of trying to end this on a positive, I think Character have absolutely knocked it out the park with this figure and this TARDIS. It's absolutely wonderful. Of course, there are things that I would have liked to have seen in it, but I'm not, you know, I'm really not that fussed that, you know, we didn't get electronics in it, because at the end of the day, it looks like a great display piece. I'm never going to really have the electronics on. It's a, you know, it's a simple little extra that we could have had, but we could have not had the interior card, and we got the interior card, and I love seeing that in there, just poking in through the doors. But if I want to end this on any kind of positive note, I would say, just because we don't have a figure now does not mean we're not going to get it in future. And the proof of that is this Fugitive Doctor figure and TARDIS right here in front of you. They always said we were going to get it, and we finally have it. And last week, the Toy Fair, they released that they're going to do the 15th Doctor, a Wraith Warrior, and seemingly a Ruby Sunday figure. I know there was some debate as to whether the Ruby Sunday figure was going to be released because of some rumours surrounding that, but as far as I know, and from what who I've spoken to and looked into, there doesn't seem to be any truth in that, so I see no reason as to why we won't get a Ruby Sunday figure. But again, people were saying, oh, they've not done that figure yet, so therefore we're never going to get it, and yet there they are at the Toy Fair, we're going to be getting them. So again, just because we don't have figures, don't automatically assume we're never going to get them. We probably will in future, but these things are taking more time now because of production. And that's the final note I have to say there. So I hope you all have enjoyed this video. This has been an absolute wonder to review. It really has been one of my best things I've reviewed in a while, because it's just so good to finally have it. So I really do hope you've enjoyed this review. Like, favorite, subscribe, share. It really helps me out a lot. And reach the description below for a link to my Patreon. I am still doing my figure animation. There is an update coming in future. I know I keep saying that, but I've been very busy with work and my new house now and everything else. But for the meantime, even the smallest donations are greatly received, and for the smallest donation you can get your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.